Welcome to Alabama Manufacturing Now, hosted by Alabama Technology Network, a podcast where we cover a wide array of challenges, solutions, and innovations for manufacturers. We're your host, Whitney Barlow, Supplier Development Manager. And I'm Paige Caulfield, Marketing and PR Manager. Hello, welcome back to Alabama Manufacturing Now. My name is Paige Caulfield, ATN's Marketing and PR Manager. Today I have here with me Sandy Christ and some of the Mississippi MEP staff. Welcome, Sandy. Thank you for being here with us today. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about your role in Mississippi MEP and who you have with you today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here today. I serve as the Executive Director for the Manufacturing Extension Partnership for Mississippi. I've been in this role about 2.5 years. I've been in workforce and development and training for over 30 years. So I had developed training curriculum for educational settings, and I've actually worked in the manufacturing sector, providing training and development for the steel industry. My work at MEP involves supporting our manufacturers with resources and technical assistance that they need to be successful. In my current role, we basically serve as the connection point between the needs of the manufacturers and the educational institutions in Mississippi. We're set up a little bit different from the Alabama Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Also with me today is Abigail Barnes and Martin Conrad. Abigail, why don't you introduce yourself, and then Martin can tell us a little bit about himself.
My name is Abigail Barnes. I am the program coordinator for the Connects Mississippi platform, but also have a hand in some marketing and graphic design and social media. And then I just pitch in wherever needed, really. Martin?
Oh, great. Yeah, thanks, Abigail. So a little bit about me, Martin Conrad with Mississippi State University's CABS extension. I've been with CABS for about 5 years now as a project engineer. And before that, spent about 20 years in the chemical manufacturing industry, concentrating on process improvement. So Mississippi State CABS is an affiliate of MEP, and we work closely with Sandy and her team to help build strong partnerships with industry all across Mississippi. So, Whitney, thanks for having us this morning.
Thank y'all for being here. I just want to dive right in. So you stated earlier that you are basically Mississippi's connection to manufacturers in training, and you kind of handle that a little bit different than Alabama does. Describe the way that y'all handle your workforce training.
Sure. So in Mississippi, we're part of the Mississippi Manufacturers Association, which is a 501c. Our headquarters is based in Jackson, Mississippi, which is our capital. And we connect industry and businesses with a network of research universities and community colleges, as well as other partner organizations, to deliver technical assistance, customized training, and any other tools and resources that might help our manufacturers improve their operational efficiency, productivity, and their competitiveness for Mississippi manufacturers. We have been set up this way since the beginning of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership through Department of Commerce. And we have a diverse group of subrecipients which complement the services that we offer. Like I said, we are small in our headquarters office. We rely very heavily on our educational institutions to provide the training and resources our manufacturers need. Our largest partner in our network is Mississippi State, the CABS extension. Martin is with the CABS extension, and they are a tremendous resource for our manufacturers. Many of the engineers, including the director, Dr. Tanya McCall, came from industry, and they have that applied knowledge of manufacturing processes. So they have the educational, the theory, but they also have that practical knowledge that says, hey, let's really look at the problems and diagnose how we can support you to be better at what you do. We also have the Polymer Institute, which is at the University of Southern Mississippi, and they are our analytical arm for improving processes, testing, analyzing material properties. So they're our science lab, I like to say, and they focus on quality, new product development and design, and work with a lot of startup companies in our state. Our community colleges provide short and long-term industry training. So they basically provide customized training based on the needs of the employers in their districts. We have 15 community colleges in the state of Mississippi, and 5 of those are part of our network. We rely very heavily on partnerships in our services to manufacturers in Mississippi.
Great. So, Abigail, you are part of the same entity that I am, where we're working with Connects and Supply Chain. Can you tell us a little bit about what y'all are doing in Mississippi with that?
Yeah, so we are just trying to reach anybody and everybody that we can, right? So we've been doing social media marketing. We have Brock and John, our boots on the ground, and they're going door to door with these packets that I've made, and it lists out all of our services previously that Sandy stated. But it also has got some information about Connects and how we can help with the supply chain. And then I just help them build out their profile. We work with Zach out in Utah with iPop Services, and we just help them implement their profile the best that we can so they are marketable to other suppliers and manufacturers.
So since we partner together and we're part of a whole nationwide network, we decided a couple months ago, I guess, Joey?
Some point in that range, yeah.
Yes, we came to visit y'all in Jackson and had a little powwow. And of course, if you're in Mississippi, you're going to eat well. So we definitely ate our way to Jackson and Madison. But we decided to co-host a supply chain matching summit. We're still wordsmithing the title.
Yeah.
But it's in February, because what better time to match make than the month of love, right? So y'all actually attended a matchmaking event, we thought about doing one that was just where we had people come in and lecture and discuss supply chain and the issues that we had. Joey and I have attended one of those at one of our universities, Auburn, here in the state of Alabama. But y'all had attended one on the coast, and it had actually what makes this event we're having a little bit different and unique. Can you tell us a little bit about that matchmaking part that y'all attended on the coast in that seminar?
Well, and there's multiple ways to set up an event like this, but what we found that works best is helping or facilitating meaningful connections between our manufacturers. So basically, we'll have a large hall set up. We'll have an area we're going to be at the Mill and Conference Center. It's Starkville, Mississippi, which is affiliated with Mississippi State University. And we'll actually have tables set up for every manufacturer that registers. They will have an opportunity to sign up for the different companies that they think might meet their capabilities. Everybody will have a description of the company that's coming. They'll know what they make, what their capabilities are, so they can say, hey, I think that's somebody that I could potentially do business with. And we'll have some conversations with them, set them up on some pre-scheduled meetings. And they'll have an opportunity to do what we call speed networking. So basically, they'll rotate through this conference center and meet with speed dating, right?
Yep.
So they'll get to talk to the manufacturers that they potentially could do business with, find out if the capabilities match, see if they want to go on a second date, see if they want to share information, exchange ideas, and hopefully build some relationships, because that's what this is really about, is the networking, the opportunity to build relationships, to find new suppliers. It's important that as one of our directives from the National Institute for Standards and Technology and the Department of Commerce is, how do we help our manufacturers find more domestic local suppliers? For Alabama, you guys want to find suppliers for your companies in Alabama. We want to do the same for Mississippi. Mississippi and Alabama are great neighbors. We'd love to find out how we can support manufacturers in Alabama as well as vice versa. So this is just an opportunity for networking, for sharing, for potentially building some new relationships, for hopefully some big contracts for some of our companies.
And Joey told me that y'all were on a call, and I think Tennessee might join us now. So we'll have oh, wow. See, we're just turning this into a whole...
You might find your soulmate.
Yes.
That's you very well could. It's a great opportunity. And actually, Louisiana is interested as well. So we might actually have all of our surrounding states involved in this. I think it's a great opportunity. It's this, we love sticking together in the South. We have great manufacturers. We have great relationships with our other MEPs, which is one of the benefits of being part of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership is the networking, the availability of, hey, we can't necessarily do that in Mississippi, but I've got friends in Alabama who can do that. And I think that's part of the sharing of information and the networking that we have. It's an advantage for all of us.
And I'm looking forward to see how, if Tennessee does in fact participate, and or Louisiana, when we first began talking about it, it was just proximity for Mississippi and Alabama. It's not hard to get to Starkville for folks in Alabama. So if they want to participate, that's great. I would have loved to include them from the start, but I would be interested to see what the participation rate would be, and if it's good, I would love to have one for the entire Southeast. If we can get those many people to come, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. I think we start off small, and as we find what works, we can expand that out across the Southeast. Joey, that's a great idea.
You mentioned Starkville, so we're going to host this at the Mill, if that's correct, Sandy. And
that's correct.
Okay, and that's in Starkville, Mississippi State. We decided, like Joey said, to try to kind of split the difference in the two states. Still is pretty easy drive from Louisiana and Tennessee to get to Mississippi State. Both of them,
absolutely.
A lot of their residents travel Mississippi State at least every other year. If they're attending a football game. And so we are very excited, and you can actually register on all of our websites. Those the states that are participating, you'll be able to register for that. And so more on to the actual conference and symposium itself, the Matchmaking Summit, where they can find their supply chain soulmate. Will suppliers have the opportunity? So they're going to have opportunity to sign up, and then they'll have an opportunity to identify the capabilities. And because we're MEP, you kind of alluded on that. If they're short on capabilities, we will be able to have resources there to help them train. So did either one of any of y'all, I guess Martin maybe so, elaborate on the ability to kind of fill the gaps or capabilities? We do that here. Well, the three of us don't necessarily do that, but we have staff that does that. But
we facilitate
it like y'all do, Sandy and Abigail, but y'all would be able to help with showcasing both the capabilities that you have trained and they're certified, but also fill the gaps, correct?
Yes. One of the things that Abigail does, and she can talk about this more if she would like, is helping companies build that capability statement. That's very important in the Connect system. The more detailed, the more description that's provided for other manufacturers to match, it just makes that relationship a lot easier, because you can see, hey, I think we're interested in these pieces and parts that you do, and you may not do exactly what we need, but you have the capabilities of doing that, what we need, and we want to figure out how to make that work. I think local manufacturers would love to find another supplier in their general region area where we're not relying on it coming across the ocean, where things can get stuck on barges and things can get stuck in ports. We want to be able to, and from a citizen, I would love to have all of our suppliers here in Mississippi. That just works for our economy. It helps our taxes. It just helps our communities out, and that's what we really are focused on, is helping our communities, helping our state be the best that it can be.
Okay, so some of the topics, Abigail, I know y'all were working on a fabulous speaker has probably 20 to 30 years in supply chain, but I know one of our others is we're going to have a panel of industry, industry officials of industry. I'm trying to think of the word. Industry.
In the supply chain procurement department. That's what we're looking. Yeah, we're looking at having the experts who, that's what they do every day in the supply chain, in their divisions, talk about their struggles, talk about, where their weakness, where their gaps are, identifying some of the strengths, and really trying to share with others how we can help and support them in developing their supply chain and building the supply chain.
And then in addition to that, well, who was the professor again? I am drawing a blank on the professor.
Yes, Dr. Christopher Boone.
Okay.
That's who my main contact is. But I've also been speaking with Dr. Frank Adams out at Mississippi State. He's the head of the supply chain department over there. And they are very interested in helping in any way that they can because they work with industry. They do research projects with them. So they're not just strictly academia. They do help with actual industry. And they would love to speak whenever given the opportunity.
See, I think that's fantastic. And that's something that all of our companies and those that are interested in supply chain need to know is that we're going to have both from the side of resources besides MEP, but also the universities that can assist them. And in addition to that, we'll also have the companies there speaking from their experience. So in addition to that, we have a supply chain assessment that we've been working on in Alabama, but who did we call on, Joey, to help us build out that supply chain?
We called on Martin. We called on the Mississippi MEP. And it's my understanding that everyone who registers for that summit will do an assessment beforehand to try to get an idea of where they are and where they stand prior to the event. So everyone can sort of be on a level playing field when they show up. So we did have a conversation about this supply chain, and Martin, I've already begun work on trying to roll that out. I don't know exactly where you guys are on the rollout of yours, but I know it's further along than Alabama's is. Can you tell us a little bit about that assessment, maybe a little bit about how it works, what its benefit is to the company itself, the nature of it, its origin, just however much you think you would like to give us?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think you all hit it right on the head when you said about MEPs working together. We utilized help from Don Lynch in New York. He has 30 years experience, and he reached across states to help us out to get our supply chain assessment up and running. So a little bit about it. The assessment it's a great tool that we've developed. We utilize it to help manufacturers improve how they manage their supply chains and all things supply chain related. We have done it with a few organizations, and it's gone over really well. And also what's really good about this is it's backed behind by the NIST organization, and we're working with it under a supply chain optimization grant that we've been working with Sandy's group as well. So I'll try to keep it brief. The main goal of the supply chain assessment is pretty straightforward. We want to help companies find ways to improve competitiveness, optimize their processes, and basically enhance their overall performance of supply chain. What it starts with is we use an online assessment with 59 questions. These come from best practices from industry, and they covered 9 key supply chain areas. Some of them are really as simple as how suppliers handle pricing controls, planning for supply continuity, keeping inventory under control. So we go through all of this through the online assessment, which allows for us to get a baseline of the organization's what we call supply chain maturity, and then it helps us identify key improvement areas within the organization. And once we have those responses from the survey, we schedule a sit down with them, and then we get an opportunity to dive deeper into those 9 areas with the organization. And it takes a few hours for us to go through that. And from all of that, we're able to then compile and put together recommendations that focus on ease of implementation, areas for potential improvement, and the biggest one being impact on revenue. So with all that, it's a great exercise for companies to go through. A lot of times companies are so busy that they don't get a chance to sit down and ask the right questions. So it brings light to the questions that sometimes we know we should be asking or companies should be asking, but for one reason or another, they get passed by. Everybody's wearing multiple different hats, and it really allows us to jump in. So in short, understanding and optimizing an organization's supply chain is critical to its operation because it helps directly impact for the organization to meet customer demand. And really, it can be a significant tool for maintaining a competitive advantage in this market. So I'm excited to see what Alabama has for their supply chain. I'm sure it's going to be great, but we've really received some great feedback from companies that it asks the tough questions that they tend not to want to answer.
It's a really interesting assessment. The more I've worked with it, the more interesting it's become. My favorite piece of it, and you alluded to it, is the fact that after the questions are answered and the answers are all processed as a whole, it will tell you your amount of effort which needs to be taken to implement that portion of the assessment, as well as it will give you how much monetary impact, or not how much in dollars, how much monetary impact, the level of impact that has. And I think that's super useful for a company to understand what they may want to work on in a more quick manner, or what they may want to push out as a long-term goal. It's a really great survey. I give both you and Don credit for that. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the biggest thing I've seen is a lot of organizations have sole source suppliers. And I think we saw that all a few years ago. When that sole source supplier can no longer provide that supply, it's going to just stop operation of everything. And to Sandy's point, we want to make sure that these suppliers have other options, and we'd like for them to have them in the United States, to help America just continue to be stronger. And in Mississippi, we can get people that are Mississippi suppliers as well. That helps our organization and our state as well.
I think that's a good point, Martin.
Yeah.
I think that we miss that point when we talk to people about the supply chain. And I bet Abigail is running the same situation, is that they think we're trying to get them to not use their current supplier. Mm-hmm. And instead, we're just trying to build the depth of their supply chain. And I'm sure y'all have some success stories that are starting to bud out of this work, as well as us. And a lot of it comes down to, which is why when Joey and I watched or listened to the Zoom, and then Martin had to come back and do it with Joey because I couldn't figure out the Excel part. That is when I began to realize how impactful this was, mainly because they do the survey, but then you have the opportunity to start the discussion with them. And once you finally can get in there and have the discussion, they begin to see, I really do need some help in these areas. I really do need a different supplier, or at least a backup supplier, or this company is an XYZ location, and it'd be nice if we had them here. And normally in the Southeast, we're pretty diversified, and we've got quite a bit of manufacturers. So given some time and effort, we can probably find you at least a secondary source, if not that becomes your primary source. So that thinks, we know it's good because Joey took it, and y'all use the software system, a database control system that you have hosted there at Mississippi State, and we don't have that at ATN, but we have Joey. And so
we got Joey.
We have Joey. And so Joey took it, and he is, so I knew he liked it because he sat there and helped me, or he did it. He didn't help me. No one would want me to write a computer program, but wrote the program so that we hopefully will have it all launched and ready to go. Joey, you think, do you think that we'll have it? We should have it ready to go by the time they start registering, yeah?
Yes, with the caveat that everyone would love to complete an assessment prior to the event.
Yes.
There's pretty much a deadline for that now, so that's wonderful. It's great.
Well, and I think, y'all, the great thing about the assessment is it's a self-assessment, right? So companies don't always take the time to evaluate where I'm at, where are my gaps. This gives them some very specific questions that they can build upon. And they can do that. They don't have to make all these changes at once, but they can start implementing some of these changes so that they do fill some of those gaps. And then what we hope that if there are gaps that between Alabama, Mississippi, our network, that we can help them, whether that be through certifications, whether that be through training, resources, technical assistance, get them to where they need to be to optimize the supply chain and their manufacturing processes, which is what all of our goals are, is to strengthen and empower our manufacturers, right? We work for our manufacturers in our states.
And, it sounds like 59 questions is a lot of questions, but it's really not in the overall scheme of things. But the questions are such that some of the questions are pretty basic questions and things you would think about every day if you work at a company. But some of the questions are questions you absolutely may never would consider, that you absolutely should consider. It's very interesting. It's very well put together. And to be clear, I didn't change any of the questions. The questions were great. So it was great. It's a great assessment. It really is.
So how long did it take you to fill it out?
How long does it take me to fill it out?
Yeah, or any company, how long would the time that we take to fill it out?
If it was the right person at the company, they could probably fill it out in 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
Would you say, Martin?
Yeah.
If
Absolutely. Yeah.
Go ahead, Martin.
Go ahead. Yeah. Well, the questions are all worded in a way that they ask if your organization has something practiced. So in the survey, all you're answering is, are you not practicing it? Do you have some practice? Are you fully practiced? And really, it just looks for those three answers. So with those 59 questions, I agree with Joey, 15 minutes. The great thing behind it is it takes your assessment response on how much you've practiced it. It also looks at the effort to implement if you don't have that practiced. And then we also look to see how important that is to the revenue of the organization. And then it calculates based on that, and it gives you the best, let's say, bang for your buck. If you have 30 minutes, what's the easiest to implement that'll give us the greatest return on our investment? And with that, it also provides actionable recommendations on how to get there. So to Joey's point, and I give Don a lot of the credit for this, is they can do this self-assessment, and within maybe 2 hours of the discussion and the assessment, they have a list of actionable steps that are very, there's no thoughts on our part of what it is. It based it on the calculation, and it's very, I guess, scientific, and that's why I like it, is I get to nerd out with the numbers, but it's very useful. It's very useful and very quick to provide. For the time that you spend, you really get a wonderful report that you can start, hit the ground running and start defining what you need to do. So it's really good. We're really happy with it.
It's almost like one of those choose your own adventure books from elementary school, where if you choose to do this, turn to this page, you can do this. It's wonderful.
So at the Supply Chain Summit in February, you'll have the opportunity, you will have an opportunity to self-assessment prior, so you can bring that information. You'll have the opportunity to be able to listen to speakers with lots of experience, both in the actual real world, currently working as an industry expert, and also in the world of application where your research or your training. And you'll also have the ability to have capabilities, understand where your gaps might be, or if you don't have any gaps, where your opportunity to expand is, and be able to do find your soulmate supply chain person.
It might be somebody who manufactures shoes.
And we know currently 2 states involved, and we hope 2 more. So I think this is a fantastic opportunity that's been given to us by MUP through this award, to really use it to expand the Southeast. We've got a lot of great things going in around down here in this part of the country, and it gives us opportunity for manufacturers to meet together in person. Yep. Do y'all have anything else that y'all want to talk about with Mississippi?
No, I just want to thank you for the partnership we have with you guys. It's been great working with you. I think that it really bodes well for our manufacturers in both states when you have the resources available to truly help them excel at what they do. And that's our overall goal, is to support manufacturers wherever they are, whether they are whether they need help or whether they don't know they even need help at this point. How do we help them identify those gaps and areas and help them be better at what they do?
And how do we contact, or what's your website, Sandy? How, if I'm somebody from Mississippi or someone that's on the border and is trying to make sure they reached out to a manufacturer, maybe you can connect them. How do they get in touch with y'all?
Well, it's very easy. You can put Mississippi Manufacturers Association in the Google search and it will pop up, but it's www.mma-web.org is our website. And you can find all of us listed there with our contact information as well as information about Connects. You can also connect to our partners at Mississippi State and our other SRAs from our website. Again, we are the connecting point to the experts in the field like Martin, and we are grateful for their team and the work that they do for our manufacturers in the state. So,
well, thank you, Sandy. Thank you, everyone, for being with us today. It was a pleasure. Until next time, guys, we'll see you later.